Am I live? Okay. Guys, I am incredibly annoyed. First of all, make sure you put in the chat if you can hear me so I know my mic is working. I am so annoyed because this person that should be on the screen with me agreed to debate me a week ago. We've been in contact every other day, confirming. And all of a sudden they want to not respond. Mr. Radical Seb, when we spoke, let me see, 2 hours ago confirming. So this person has now flaked. Thank you, Miles Swan, for the super chat. Here's my thing, you guys. Don't flake when you have thousands of people waiting on you. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I have gotten so much hate with the non-binary topic, right? Like since the Vice show that I did, the amount of hate from non-binary people has been so real. Like literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments, tweets, all that, death threats, all that. And I tweet like, will someone come debate me about it? Like I'd love to have a talk about it. Maybe I can learn more. And it's crickets. Crickets. So it's like, what do I do? And it's organized hate. It's like, you know, like I'll see like 100 of the same tweet and comment in a row, which means there's like an organization, like someone's convening on a website, like everyone go comment. Why will no one? So here's what we're going to do. I guess we're going to try to save this stream, but I'm only going to try a little bit. Anyone in the chat who is non-binary or wants to go to bat for the non-binary topic or disagrees with me when it comes to that, hit me up. I don't care how you do it. The chat will probably be hard for me to get your info. DM me on Instagram, your email, email me your email so I can give you the link so you can come in, because I would still like to debate this topic. And the other gag is, I don't know if this person is flaking because this person actually that I was supposed to debate has pedophile accusations against them that I did not know until yesterday when I announced him. And I have a bunch of people messaging me like, why are you platforming this pedophile, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it's true. So this is all alleged, but there are videos and stuff that I didn't see. So that might be why they're flaking. But I need one person. Like, I don't care how you hit me up. Let's try to save this stream. If you're willing to debate, then hit me up and include your email so I can give you it. Because for there to be that much hate over like my views on non-binary and then not one person wanted to debate. Not one person. I don't get it. Thank you, Miles Swan. Thank you, Graham Lacer. I just, you know, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to be educated if that's the goal of you guys, if that's your goal. Okay, this person wants, okay, I found someone. Let me email them the link. Let's get this started. Let's see if they actually come in. And that's no shade. I'm sure you'll come in, but let me, you know what? Let me put in actually, I'll put in multiple people. Like I love to debate like multiple people about this just to cover my bases since, okay, this person named Gabe Steidel. Okay, Gabe, I'm going to be emailing you the link so you can come on in. Make sure you have your camera, mic, all that. Anyone else who wants to join, keep hitting me up. I'll put in 7 people. I don't care. Guys, it's so annoying to me. It's so annoying. And like, I hate letting you guys down being like, hey guys, doing a debate. And then because this person wants to flake, we don't get to do a debate. So feel free on Radical Seb's Instagram. If y'all want to go comment, Radical SEB, why are you flaking? What's the problem? Because we've confirmed kind of a lot. Because I always, this reminds me of Ghazi Kodzo, you know, Black Hitler. And other people just who throughout the years, like, will agree up until, like, the hour of, and then have me looking crazy. It's just really stupid and, it's frustrating. Gabe, I did send you the link. You haven't come in yet. Anyone wants to come in? Can someone just go in? Like, I don't feel like I'm scary. I feel like even though I can be in some heated debates quite often, I feel like I'm always like I don't like disrespect people. Like I can get heated, but I'm not like gonna just go crazy. Come on. Someone. Okay. Who else wants a link to come in here? This is like ridiculous. I'm getting some DMs.
Hi, Blaire. Blaire, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Thank you for coming in. Oh my God.
Here, let me set up my camera really quick.
Okay. Thank you for coming in because
Of course, yeah.
this stream was about to be canceled. I'm gonna let some other people maybe come in. Thank you for coming in.
There we go. I need to pause that. All right, there we go.
Okay, there is a strong echo, I think, or maybe not. That was just a brief moment. Okay. Okay. So what's your name, first of all?
My name is Gabe.
Okay, hi, Gabe.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 16.
Oh man.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh man. Okay. No shade. I just, I would have preferred an adult. I probably should have said that though. That's my fault. But we can definitely still talk for sure.
Yeah, it's fine. I guess I just want to kind of tell you a little bit about me first, like how I decided to become non-binary, I guess.
Okay.
So, what's in you? When I was like 14, I identified as a transgender girl, but that just did not work out for me. I just felt so uncomfortable with myself, even more as a boy, if you get what I mean. And so then I just didn't know how to be either one. So I just kind of decided, hey, maybe I could try this out, and it just really worked for me.
Okay. So it was more of a, you identified as just plain old like transgender woman.
Yes.
And then you kind of realized that that maybe wasn't for you and that label fit you better is what I'm hearing.
Yes. So for me, it's more of like, I understand like with you see it more as like it's a biology thing. Am I right?
Yes, but more so than that, I've just kind of, as of recently, kind of been of the position that, non-binary people, I definitely have nothing against them, nothing against you for being non-binary or claiming the title. I just sometimes get frustrated when my experience is very much conflated with that of being non-binary. I think about how, when it comes to the LGBT community, things like bisexual, right? That is one sort of label within the community. And then there's also pansexual. And for some reason, everyone is not only okay with making a distinction between the two, they're insistent upon it when there's not as big of a distinction as between someone who's non-binary and trans. And what I mean is like, bisexual people and pansexual people, they both are willing to date men and women. But to my understanding, pansexual also means willing to date like any gender identity, sort of. That's my understanding.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? Like for some reason, people get very angry when I try to differentiate like a transsexual and non-binary person. But every other thing under the sun gets its very specific distinction, even when the distinction is small.
Okay. Well, I remember, like, I've been watching you for probably a couple years now, and I remember at the time when I started calling myself non-binary, I felt guilty about it because you seem to have like a problem with it, and I've like really looked up to you for a long time, and but yeah, I do see a difference between a normal everyday transsexual and a non-binary person. I do see a difference. One, transsexuals may or may not go through hormones, may go through surgeries, but then there's people like me, we don't do any of that. It's an identity sort of thing.
Right. So that's the thing is that like I feel like there is this painted picture that like I like you said, I do have like some huge issue with non-binary. Not really, I think everyone, we all put our pants on one leg at a time like everyone else, right? Like no one's better than anyone else. My conversation has just always been there is a difference and to kind of properly, I guess, advocate for one is kind of different than the other, because at the end of the day, sort of the starting point and end point is very different. Um, Transsexuals very much operate and live under an appreciation of gender and sex, as in like we're, it's a transition, it's one to the other, whereas non-binary tends to be, a lot of non-binary people I've heard say that they are kind of like above that, or it's not important to them, or it's more of a gray area. Whereas for transsexuals, it's really not a gray area. We appreciate sort of the binary. So to
Yeah.
me, it's very much a big difference. And the same way that, if you and I were to be sort of making our case, right, for like the validity of who we are, which is an annoying conversation to have in the first place. But if we were to do that, which to be honest, we do have to do that in society. If we were to tell someone, well, we are both trans, there has to then be a conversation about how different we are. And to me, doesn't make sense in the same way that people don't like bisexual being made to be the same thing as pansexual. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yes, I'm definitely I have a little different mindset about the whole like non-binary and and transgender thing, mainly because it's like you said, trans people are doing like they're transitioning. Non-binary people are kind of like in a gray area, but I feel like at least for me, I feel like if you're saying like non-binary isn't completely trans, I feel like it's excluding them, if you get what I mean.
Well, I think that is the perception that it's sort of like to be done in a harmful or hurtful way. Like, in my advice debate, I think one of the people said that um, I was like leaving them behind or something.
Yes, yeah,
Um,
I saw that debate.
oh, that's weird. I just got a text from my friend Ethan. Do you know who Ethan Supreme is?
No, no,
Oh, he said he used to talk to you and that you're actually 21. Is that true? Or is he wrong?
no. I've never
Okay.
met him. No, I'm
That's
not.
weird. That's weird. So it's just different to me. And to me, I don't think that non-binary is like invalid. I don't think that they are lesser than or anything like that. And I think that that is like the perception of me, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, that does make sense. Um, Now is this is sort of
I
side.
did. Can I say one thing really quick? I'm so sorry.
No, it's
I
fine.
am also multitasking, trying to send more links off to people because I
Hmm.
do want more people in here if they think it'd be better.
Yes.
So I did email one other person a link, and now I'm like looking through my Instagram DMs. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
sorry, I'm just letting the chat know that so anyone who wants to um, come in, please hit me up or email
And
me.
this is kind of a question for you. Do you
Okay.
see any difference between transgender people and transsexual people?
Lately, I have been trying to stick with the term transsexual because I feel like it is less political and less black and white. I think that the definition of transsexual is much more concrete, and I personally feel like I fall under that more. The definition, I think loosely, I mean, I could Google it, but I'm pretty confident in what it says, is that it's a person who emotionally or psychologically feels they belong to the opposite sex. So that's binary, right? And that
Yes.
very much speaks to my life story and my experience and of like the trans people that I know in my life and that I've grown up with and transitioned with. Um, and for me, just based on the fact alone that I have transitioned to this sort of state where I'm living this completely different life than I did earlier in my life, to me, saying that you and I are both the same thing when you have done the opposite of that, which is not doing that,
Hmm.
doesn't make a ton of sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean, but does it harm you when people say they're transgender when I guess in your state like they're not or something? Like
I
does that?
think it, I think it can, and I think that it often does. What I have found is that non-binary people have definitely rose to the top as far as being the most vocal. They make the most news. There's the most sort of attention put on them. And the problem with that is when it is so different, like I said, when they are advocating on behalf of me and people like me, oftentimes that advocacy is done in the name of things that actually doesn't help me. I also think that, and this is not a statement about you because I don't know your life story and you're very kind. And this is not a statement about you. This is just a statement that I personally feel to be true is that being trans has been popularized sort of to a point where, and people can deny it if they want, but there are a lot of people, and again, I'm not saying it's you, there are a lot of people who co-opt the word for political reasons rather than because this is truly how they feel and how they've experienced life. Um, I'll let you go there.
Okay. So another question is, would you feel like non-binary, it would be more valid if the people who call themselves non-binary actually like transitioned, like to fit the binary? If you get what I mean, would that make it more,
Um,
little less
well,
weird for you?
well, to me, if you transition, then you're trans. Or there's people who don't transition yet, and they're still trans because they have it in them and they're working towards it. I feel like I was trans my whole life. I just transitioned, at a certain age. Um, and again, to me, I think it's a bit of a false premise that like I don't think that anyone is invalid. I think everyone's valid, right? I
Yeah.
just think it's different, and I just think that it just shouldn't be conflated. And I also have a hard time, like I said, understanding why people get so upset when I say that when everything else has like such minor distinctions, like bisexual and pansexual, this sexuality. Like I have a hard time understanding the rage that goes behind when I say that it's just different.
Yeah, I've never really understood why people get so angry about it. I can agree with you on that. Like, I've never understood that. I feel like if they really have a problem, they should be willing to have a conversation with you, like how I'm having a conversation with you right now. Um, but in my case, I see like I'm a transgender person, but I'm not a transsexual. That's in my mind, if you get what I mean.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense to me, I guess. I mean, I really am trying to stick with the transsexual. By the way, I am sending out more links. You guys, email me if you want a link. I've sent out, I think, like 5 links at this point. Um, I don't know. All these people are saying they want in, and I send a link, and then they don't come in. So, is there anything else that sort of you have an issue with my positions on all of this, gender fluid,
Um,
any of that you'd want to go over?
um,
Pronouns, anything?
I don't think so. I think I said everything I wanted to say.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Okay. Well, you have a nice day. Okay.
Yeah, you too.
See ya.
Bye.
I don't know what to tell you guys. I've sent out links. I've sent out links. And to anyone saying debate contra, I've asked, and she says that she doesn't debate. So, anyone else? I mean, that was lame. He was very nice. So I'm not saying it's like a bad thing about him that he's nice, but it's like, I've sent out 6 links at this point. 6. Okay, guys. I don't know what to say at this point. This was unfortunately a flop because people wanted to flop. The Eugenia drama. I mean, I guess I could just talk. The Eugenia drama is, I don't even care. I don't care, if I'm being real. Who's Peppa Pig? Am I getting DMs on Twitter about debating? Who's Peppa Pig? Okay, here's the deal, you guys. I'm gonna start writing contracts for debates because there's been too many people that have flaked. And it's crazy because, like I said, I check in with them hours before, days before, a million times. Yeah, everything's cool. I'll be there. I'm excited, blah, blah, blah. And they never come. Who is this Peppa Pig person y'all keep talking about? Okay, let me just read the super chats, I guess, because you guys are very kind sending them. So I want to respond to them for sure. Okulo Music says, I'm down for a debate. Okay, send the email. Because if you're just a random account in the sea of accounts tweeting me, you have to send me your email so I can send you the link. Ollie says, still haven't gotten a link. Send me your email. I have to email the link. I cannot send it through Instagram. My Privilege says, how about the Eugenia drama? I wish the best for Eugenia. I personally witnessed Jacqueline Glenn go through trying to save her for a long time, and it's caused Jacqueline a lot of pain. And Eugenia's story is very tragic. There's a lot more to it that you guys don't know, but I hope the absolute best for her because that girl's very sweet for sure. Thank you, Spidey, who says, hey, Blaire, me and my sister are two Finnish fans. Shout out to you. Love you. Thank you, Hog Squeal, who says, hey, Blaire, I'm a trans man with a non-binary best friend. I'm 21. I'd love to debate. Okay, you have to send me your email. I can't respond to a super chat with a link. My email is imblairewhite@gmail.com. Okay, here we go. I have about 10 emails right here. I'm literally just going to be copy pasting this link. Actually, okay. Wrong link. Hold on. Okay, 2 links sent. 3 more links sent. 4 links sent. 5 links sent. 5 links. 5 links were just sent. So we'll see who comes in, if someone comes in. I don't feel like this is that crazy of a topic that people have to be so scared. I have sent so many links. Thank you, Lens Thomas, who says, love you, Blaire. My boyfriend, Wes, is trans and conservative, and he loves you too. Thank you. Shout out to your boyfriend. Love you. Thank you, D4 letter J, who says, I knew this was going to happen. A non-binary is gender expression. I agree. It's more of gender expression. Someone in here? Thank you, D4 letter J, who says, I knew this was going to happen. A non-binary is gender expression. I agree. It's more of gender. There's an echo, Raven. Do you have
about that?
Do you have headphones maybe so there's no echo? Peppa Pig. Y'all keep saying Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig, can you email me and I can email you the link? Because I'm looking for anyone at this point. Raven, are you there? And someone else is in here, Rev V.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How about you?
Hi, I'm
This is a bit of a rough stream. I'm trying to get it off the ground here.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Can you hear me or is it still echoing?
I can hear you, Raven.
Okay.
Okay. So welcome, you guys. Thank you guys for coming.
So I understand that you want to learn more about non-binary people?
Learn, talk, yeah. So anything that you feel that you want to say, you have the floor, definitely.
Okay, so I definitely want to explain why I identify as non-binary, because for 2 years I was identifying as a trans male, and I actually am on male hormones right now. But it just didn't feel quite right. Same with identifying as a cis female. And using the non-binary label it feels better to me than identifying as either binary gender.
Okay, so this seems to be sort of a similar case to the person who was in here before, to where you guys start out identifying as sort of the opposite gender, and then you realize that maybe a word for something else is better for you.
Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, just being genderless is just better for me, if that makes sense. It feels correct.
Genderless, okay. I know that the person who originally was going to come in here wanted surgeries to completely remove their genitalia. Is that what you mean by genderless?
No, I definitely want to get top surgery at some point because my chest definitely does bother me since it's, it's obviously a female's chest. So top surgery would definitely be a good thing for me. And being on hormones has made me a lot happier. But being genderless for me, it's not quite like removing your genitals and everything like that for me.
Okay. Does anyone else that came in, welcome, welcome. Anyone else want to say anything? You have the floor for sure.
Yeah, I feel like in general, if you consider gender to not be the same thing as sex, and you think that it's just kind of like a thing that society kind of like made up, like different genders have to conform to different rules, then like being non-binary is just like a way to like break out of those rules. And I know that like you can't have dysphoria with it, but I feel like in general, it's just like trying not to conform to those rules. And I think that's beneficial if we want to live in a society that isn't as divided.
Okay.
Um,
And then Raven.
Hi. Sorry. Finally got it figured out. So for me, I identify as non-binary because, like the first person said, I'm sorry, I didn't catch their name. Um, I never quite felt like a female. I was always, I never fit into that. I was never girly, all that kind of stuff. But I was never comfortable identifying as a male. So, um, my friend brought it up to me, and I was like, oh, that actually kind of does describe what I feel. Um,
Can I ask something really quick of everyone?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
How old is everyone in here?
I am 16. I'll be 17 in December.
I'm 17. I'll be 18 in January.
I'm gonna be 20 in April.
Okay. And then you on the end, Alex?
Me? I'm
Yeah.
16.
I'm a trans man. I recently identified as non-binary because I was going through a kind of transitional period.
Okay.
Hi, Blaire.
Hi. Oh, hi. Hi, Saja. Okay.
Hey, how are you?
I have to say something really, really quick.
Mhm.
So the general feeling, because this is the first time I've spoken to anyone who claims non-binary, like, and seen their faces and seen who they are. The feeling to me is that this.
Hey.
Hello. The feeling to me is that this is sort of largely, for the most part, something for people that are a bit younger, for one, and for two, it seems as though you guys kind of like reject gender itself, like you guys would rather operate in a world where it's less defined. And to me, that does go back to what I said before, which is about transsexual being different because we do operate within clear definitions of gender. And then I also have to say, sort of just a general statement of like, I don't know how much I really want to go back and forth with all of you because you guys are, for the most part, minors.
I mean,
And I don't want to. I really am not here for that.
yeah. Personally, I'm not non-binary. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I'm a woman. And I really hope I'm not offending anyone because I also want to be educated on the topic as well. I remember we had a workshop at work. I work with kids, and like a lot of children or teens, they come out as gay, bi, trans, and like our work just like educated us on all the terms. And non-binary was mentioned, and it was mentioned that they don't, like, a person who is non-binary goes by pronouns they or them. Like, at first, from my understanding, like, I thought it was just that it was someone who didn't really know what gender to identify as or hasn't found themselves. But it's But like
Yeah.
now I'm coming to understand that there's more to it than that. And personally, like I would never want to offend anybody.
I can
Yeah.
absolutely.
Can I add something?
Is it okay if
Oh.
everyone keeps their mics muted until it's their turn to talk or they want to speak? Because
Okay.
it's a lot of background noise. I definitely just have to sort of state my general feeling about this, which is that this is largely an adolescent thing, and that I may have gone wrong thinking that this was not that. Because I'm looking at my DMs from people asking to come on, and they are all kids. You guys are all very young, and that's not me as an insult or condescending or anything like that. It really is not. But I would be amiss to not state that.
I know that for me and for a lot of my friends growing up, it was kind of like a transitional trying to figure yourself out kind of thing. Like for me,
Right.
I now identify as a man, but you know, it was a very confusing time as a teenager. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, this seems to be something that for people who are trying to figure their stuff out, that is the label that works for them. That seems to be that. And if that's the case, it doesn't remove my frustration that that tends to dominate the trans conversation, because I would, if I'm being honest, I would rather people who do kind of have it figured out be the voices of what we want and what we need and how to advocate for us, rather than people that are in this sort of, no pun intended, but transitional stage between even identifying as trans, if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to be condescending, because when I was 16, if I would have had some 20-something-year-old being like, well, you're 16, I would have been like, okay, that's really annoying. You guys definitely have a right to your opinions as well, and I'm not negating that, but I would really, like I said, be amiss to not state my general feeling so far on that.
Can I add something, if you
Yeah.
don't mind?
Yeah.
So, for a lot of people, it is a transitional phase, and I totally understand that, because for a lot of people, they'll identify as non-binary when they're confused, and then they'll go back to a binary gender, either the one they were assigned at birth or a gender different than the one they were assigned at birth. For me, it's actually quite different for that, because for 2 years, like I said, I was identifying as a binary gender, and it was better than identifying as a woman to me, but it just also didn't feel quite like, it just didn't feel right to me. So
Can I ask, do you think, and I really am trying to approach this with the most empathy as possible, do you think that when you are 57, you will still be claiming non-binary?
well, I'm not sure, because I don't know what the future is going to hold, so I'll just have to see really what's going to happen.
Right, because my issue is that I really have not come across anyone over the age of 20 who is online claiming non-binary or genderqueer, all these things, maybe genderqueer, but non-binary. Whereas people who claim transsexual and trans without also claiming non-binary, that's a lifelong thing.
I think what
and
a
so
lot of
it gives me a bit of trepidation.
is that there's a difference between gender nonconforming and actually having a differing identity. Because, like, gender nonconforming, like, just because you dress a certain way doesn't necessarily mean you're trans.
That I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I feel like it's dangerous to be able to say that, like, oh, you have to choose a binary gender, and if you don't like transition, then you're not trans and stuff like that. Because that forces young queer kids, I guess would be the term. It forces young kids who don't know if they're trans to hurry up and choose a gender and choose to transition and stuff, because they don't want to be seen as not valid. Where if you let them, like, go by non-binary for a while, they may decide that that's not what they want to be and they want to go back to the gender, or they may stay there, or they may decide that they're the opposite gender, but it won't force them to.
Yeah, I definitely am not attempting to force someone to pick a gender. For me,
I definitely think that experimenting with the non-binary label was, in a way, helpful for me to understand who I am. But in another sense, it was more confusing. Like,
Right.
I don't know. Like, it just blurs the line a little bit. Like, I don't.
It seems to be more so. It seems to be more so confusion. That's what I'm getting. It seems to be more so. I don't know, so I'm going to kind of in the same way that I know a lot of gay people when they were younger, 13, 14, 15, 16, they weren't comfortable coming out as gay. So it was, I'm going to say I'm bi, or I'm going to say I'm pan, even though that's really not. But yeah, this just definitely seems to be something of the younger variety and something that I cannot really relate to. But that again goes back to my point of why must it be the same thing in the public's eyes and advocated for in the exact same way when it is so different?
I definitely see your perspective of how, well, first of all, just in general, the more crazier stories are going to get more press. So the more like radical genderqueer person who's more wild is going to be on TV, where the normal trans person isn't going to get the opportunity to be seen. And that's going to cause cis and straight people who aren't really exposed to different things to just think that all trans people are like the same. So I understand your perspective, but I also feel like in general, just trying to invalidate people to make, in general, it's kind of like trying to pander to like most society. Like, oh, it's like how gay people used to, or some gay people are like, bisexual is not real because they just want to have it to be simple, gay and straight. They don't want to have it confusing, which I think is just damaging to the community to have it separated.
It's definitely not pandering, and it's definitely not, and it's funny because my argument is, can I ask one thing?
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting? I think everyone in here, with the exception of me, was born biologically female, correct?
Yes, I am
Yeah,
biologically female.
Yeah, I'm biologically female too.
I also find it interesting that almost everyone who claims non-binary is biologically female. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Really? I honestly didn't know that.
I mean, the fact that I sent out 20 links and the only people who come in are biologically female, I wonder, I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I think it's just noteworthy.
Yeah, there is a lot of people who happen to be like assigned female at birth who are actually non-binary. I do know some people who aren't, but it's definitely a majority.
Yeah, it's definitely a majority, and also like they just kind of happen to be the loudest, the biggest advocates for it.
Can I ask why? And this is again not to be rude. I hope everyone thinks I'm coming in this with good intentions, as I am. Is there a problem with sort of the phrase tomboy to you guys? Because that seems to be the working sort of descriptor for this sort of thing for a very long time.
When I was younger, I mean, like, tomboy was described as a girl who liked sports and didn't really like to wear dresses or do girly things. And I used to think that I was a tomboy, but I mean, right now I don't really call myself a tomboy or a girly girl.
Okay. One quick thing, I'm actually going to bring Storm Ryan in here, who is a trans YouTuber. So I'm going to email Storm Ryan that link. I think a lot of people in the chat probably know who that is. I personally enjoy his content, so I'm going to
die as a gay trans man. That's gonna kill me.
Yeah, I'm excited.
What's gonna kill you?
I love
Ryan joining the chat.
Oh, by the way, I'm 22. I'm older than most of you guys here.
That's fine.
Oh,
okay.
Well, I'm second.
Go back on what you said about most people being assigned female at birth. I think that that's because in general, males are less likely to be more fluid or with their sexuality and their gender, because in general, like even for trans women, they're way more likely to get like beat up and murdered than a trans man, because no one's really as scared of the biological female testing the boundaries as they are.
What's interesting to me is that I don't really see that discrepancy among transsexuals. It seems to me that I come across just as many trans guys as trans girls, but when it comes to this, it does come across to me more than anything as gender nonconformity than being trans. And when it comes to this, I am seeing seeing a lot more biological females, and that's anecdotal, clearly. But I think a lot of people might see it that way as well.
Hey, Blaire. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay. So, no offense. Everyone here is very young. I'm also pretty young. I mean, I'm 19, but I'm not
Okay. You can speak to this more than I can, because I feel a little bad. I'm not gonna lie. So go ahead.
I mean, I used to feel the way you felt, or feel currently. I'm not sure. I used to be very confused about non-binary people. Back when I first came out, I was like 13, 14. I'd never heard of it. I didn't really hear of it until Tumblr and stuff like that. I definitely believe in non-binary people now. I think people like my friend Oslo, who's a non-binary, like high fashion supermodel. They have modeled for men's and women's. They've modeled for like Gucci, like a bunch of big brands. Pretty cool. They really showed me that like non-binary people, whether they transition to the opposite sex versus what they were born as or not, are kind of different from binary trans people, like in the sense of like their brain, but I don't know how to explain it. I've heard that a lot of them have told me that they transition, say like to the opposite sex or like to look like the opposite sex, because they know that in reality, normal everyday cis people aren't going to accept their androgynous look that most of them desire. And it's just easier to live as the opposite sex.
Okay, so what this keeps coming back to for me is about looks and presentation and gender presentation. Whereas when it comes to being a transsexual, which like we've said is in all the discourse, it's conflated with this, it's not really about gender presentation. You know what I mean? It's about like who you are as a person and how you move through society and all of that. So to me, I'm still not really hearing anything that warrants why these two things have to be conflated. So
I really need to say something because for me, I am extremely feminine, which more or less matches my gender assigned at birth, but I still identify as non-binary. So for me, it has nothing to do with being gender non-conforming because I technically conform to the gender I was assigned at birth, if that makes sense. But I still identify as being non-binary because to me, I just know that I'm not the gender I was assigned at birth, and I also know for a fact that I'm not a man, if that makes sense.
okay. I just, okay. If I'm being real, I'm just kind of getting to a point where it's like, everyone just call yourself what you want to be called. At this point, Blaire is the only label for me. That's just almost how I'm feeling.
Honestly, I don't think it matters if you quite believe in non-binary people or not, because obviously the science behind it isn't quite like it's not quite.
And it's not about believing in it or not, by the way. A few people have said that, and I've kind of forgot to correct it. It's not about like, do I believe they exist? Like, yeah, there are people who exist, and those people call themselves non-binary, right? It's not like I'm like they're out there. Like, y'all are in the chat, right? It's just that I don't relate to any of the experiences and or journeys that you guys are describing. And so I definitely reject that it's talked about in the same way.
Yeah, being a binary trans person, being a non-binary trans person are completely different. I don't quite understand why people try and mush them together because they're definitely not the same thing.
Well, there's the argument that there's a scientific basis for being transgender, like brain-wise, because of like an influx of hormones, like when you're in the womb. You could argue that it's the same thing, just to a lesser extent.
I mean, that's an interesting point. I would love to start talking about sort of the science behind it, because that's another thing that I get sort of this like overwhelming amount of hate for, but I do like to bring up that there is scientific validity behind being a transsexual. Why is it that I get that amount of hate? Like, can someone sort of explain that to me? Because anytime I bring it up, I'm called a trans med, which is interesting because I don't see how it benefits anyone to ignore the fact that there is a medical component to being trans.
It's such a bad
Um,
thing to want to be validated. I mean, that's what everybody wants is validation.
No, that's not what I know, I just mean, no, I meant, like, why is it such a bad thing to talk about the science behind being a transsexual?
Right. I'm totally agreeing with you. I'm saying, like, why
Oh, okay.
find it to be such a bad thing to be validated by science? You know what I mean?
Right. But there seems to be this sort of overwhelming rejection of that. Yeah. Are there any other topics you guys wanted to go over when it comes to this sort of overarching theme?
hey Blair, I wanted to talk about something you brought up. You said you'd never actually met anybody who has like about our age that identified as non-binary. Um, I think it's Trevor. It's a chat and stuff for LGBT, but there are multiple people who run that actually do identify as non-binary. Um, I just like wanted to point that out just because you said you'd never met anybody past like high school age who did identify.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure that they're out there for sure.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Okay. Well, listen. The goal of this stream was for me to learn a little bit. And what I learned was that in general, I mean, I know you just stated that there are other people that are a little older that identify that way. But what I'm learning is that by and far, this is something for younger people who are sort of figuring their stuff out. And from now on, I'm definitely going to treat it as that. I'm going to treat it as that. Yeah, I think that's what I'm getting out of this. And that's not to be offensive at all, because I think you all were lovely, and I definitely am thankful that you guys came on. So
Yeah, I definitely think that's a fair thing to say.
Yeah, until we get more information on what it could possibly be. I mean, there's not a whole lot of information on being transgender as it is. So.
everyone is saying, please put in Peppa Pig, and I keep refreshing my email. If Peppa Pig wants to email me, and if their name is Peppa Pig on their email, I'll definitely send the link back.
Peppa Pig is a TV show. My little brother watches it.
Okay, so I'm being trolled.
Probably, I don't know.
Okay. Again, here I am, you know, very much old, very much not in the know of what are the kids' TV shows. Okay. All right, guys. Well,
Sorry. I also wanted to say I love you so much, and I'm subscribed to your channel, and you look beautiful.
Thank you so much. I love you too, and I really appreciate it.
I also wanted to say, even if I don't agree with everything you think, you are like an amazing YouTuber, and I look up to you a lot.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and I definitely don't want any hard feelings with any of you. This is just me trying to.
No, we still love you.
Like, I honestly, sorry, guys. Like, I came onto this stream because I also wanted to be educated, and like, I want to know like what it was all about too, because I feel like I don't want to be an arrogant person, and I'm not saying anybody here is arrogant.
Right.
I just like I want to know like what is now non-binary, and like why and how do people identify with it as well. Like, honestly, I haven't had a child like or anybody ever come up to me and say that they were non-binary. I haven't met anyone non-binary. Like,
yeah, I think this is for the most part a teenage thing. But I do thank you guys. I'm gonna do the rest of the stream by myself so I can answer super chats to the kind people that gave super chats. But I appreciate you guys coming on. Okay.
Okay. Bye, Blaire.
Bye, guys. Have
Bye,
a nice
Blaire. Thank you for letting me on.
Love you.
Love you too.
Love you.
Okay. Y'all. Put what you think in the chat. Wow. Okay. y'all, I think what I've learned, like I said, is this is kind of like a kid thing. Okay, I'm gonna read these super chats from you guys, okay? I need a drink. I need a drink. And for anyone in the chat calling me condescending, I'm not being condescending. How am I wrong to say it's a kid thing when everyone just came in was a kid? Okay. Thank you, Shanella, who says, Blaire, you're a saint. I would have already said bye. Well, they were all sweet, so I wasn't gonna do that. Thank you, Sierra, who said mental illness is to be desired and something cool. Boop, okay. Thank you, Trans Bra Podcast, which is a good podcast. You guys check them out. Who says, sounds like gender expression, which can be done without transition. That's my feeling as well. This is more about gender expression, and being trans is about something bigger than just how you dress. But then again, the other person said that they were on hormones too, so I don't really know. Thank you, Stephanie, who says this is what happens when kids have to figure out what they identify as part of growing up, which turns into a fad. Being dysphoric is unbearable, and no, it's not time to choose. These poor kids should have been taught this. Yeah, I think, because you guys have seen sort of what I looked like when I was a teenager. Like, I did not look like this. Like, I looked like I would have identified as non-binary, but that term just wasn't around because I grew up before 2014. And I didn't feel the need to force any kind of label, right? And for me, when I finally started calling myself trans, it wasn't because I was in search of a label. It was because I realized that I had been medically diagnosed with something called gender dysphoria. So for me, it was a medical thing, a medical journey. It wasn't like I have to find a word and a label and I have to figure it out. It's like, it was more of like, okay, this is what I'm feeling. This is the medical basis for it. This is the treatment. Let's just get it over with. That was my thing. Okay, let me keep reading these. I appreciate you guys. I know this stream was a dumpster fire, and I much would have preferred, and this is no shade to any of the kids who came in because they were all very kind. Like I said, I felt weird talking to kids about this. I would have much preferred if the person I originally was going to debate would have showed up because he was an adult. That's me. Thank you, Brad, with a generous super chat. Thank you so much. Who says, you, ma'am, are a saint. I was not blessed with your patience. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being you, Brad. Love you. Thank you, Zerdav, who says that I should talk to Ash Hardell, who is older. I don't think Ash Hardell would want to come on, but maybe I should hit her. I don't know if it's her. Maybe I should hit Ash Ardell up. It's like a minefield. Let me see. Thank you, Lucas, who says, acts as a moral mouthpiece for their identity, but is unwilling to debate. Interesting. Love you, Blaire. You're one of my favorite YouTubers. Thank you. I'm going to follow you on Instagram because you gave me your Instagram in the message. Y'all, oh my God. You know what? One thing I did learn, you guys, and I'm honestly going to take this with me from this experience, is that from now on, I'm not going to go as hard against non-binary people because what I'm realizing, and it's not to be condescending, it is just to be real, that for the most part, this is a kid thing. This is a teenage thing. This is a I'm confused thing, and not confused in an inflammatory way, confused as in a literally figuring myself out. It's normal to be confused as a kid. Do we have alcohol, Joey? Joey.
What?
Do we have alcohol?
Yeah, I'm drinking some right now.
What do you think about all that, Joey?
Yeah, I think it's like a kid thing. And, they kind of got rid of some old words that we used to use, like tomboy and, I don't know. Tomboy. Kids don't get bullied as much anymore, so they're allowed to, like, speak about whatever they want. And they have the internet now, so they can find communities that they can feel a part of, and they're just isolated. There's a lot of things, but
do you understand sort of like my frustration then when it's like, so now it's even worse thinking that like it's like kids who are basically deciding the narrative for trans people. Like that's what it is basically.
Yeah.
That makes it even more freaky because I'm like, ugh. And people can be mad about me saying that, but was anyone there not a kid?
Yeah, you gotta find like an adult non-binary.
I did, and they didn't want to debate. And the interesting thing
Do they
is,
have a person?
the interesting thing is that the adult I was going to debate has pedophile accusations against them. Allegedly, that's not me saying it, but there's a bunch of videos and receipts, and I got a lot of hate on my Instagram. Why are you platforming this pedophile? All this stuff. So I'm like, there's just something about youth involved in all this that I'm like, what's really going on? I don't know. And people are still going to be so mad that I'm saying it's about being youth, because they'll be like, well, I know this person who's 27. I know this person who's 38. I'm like,
Tell
okay,
them to
but
come talk to you.
come
then.
talk
Yeah.
to me then. If that's the case, come talk to me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael, who says debate Jazz Jennings. I would love to, or not even debate, just have a conversation with her, because I think that'd be interesting. Thank you, Ian, who says most people who will get on a YouTube live stream at the drop of a hat are kids, regardless of gender. Non-binary people without dysphoria are just or non-conforming. I mean, I don't know if I really agree with that. That they would be kids regardless. Because now that I'm thinking about it, all the people pretty much for the most part that I've interacted with are kids. And that's not me trying to delegitimize it. That's not me trying to anything. It's just, with the exception of like Jamie from the Vice thing, and I don't know, dude. Thank you, Gramobe, who says, I don't feel like female. Quote, my first thought is, how does a gender feel? Can anxiety, fear, or other emo be misunderstanding as a wrong gender? That is interesting. Like, how does a gender feel? Because even as someone who transitioned from one to the other, there's not like a feeling attached. Like, there's not like a female feeling. It's more of just like, this is right for me. It's hard to explain. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. This was a dumpster fire. This will not be available. If you want to watch this later, you better save the link, because I am not. Thank you for the alcohol. It's a big glass. Oh my God. Because I will not be putting this available like on my channel. It'll be unlisted. You'll have to go to the link. This will not be like on display with all my videos, because this was a mess. Thank you, Brian, who says, seems like prefrontal cortex development factors into the non-binary phenomenon. Your fiance sounds logical. I'm sure he thanks you for that if he could hear you. Thank you, Jay Gonza, who says non-binary is like the new emo. Thank you, Elise, who says, hey, Blaire, we have the same birthday. That's how I found you. Thank you for making me a more open-minded liberal. You are so inspiring. Thank you, Elise. What are you doing for your birthday? Because I'm going to Hawaii, I think. And I think I'll also be doing some speaking events around my birthday. So it'll be a fun month. Thank you, Poofy, who says, is it true that a majority of trans people go through a non-binary phase during their transition? Is that phase affected by hormonal developments of teenage years? I don't know. I mean, I didn't go through that. I don't personally know any trans people my age who went through that. And here's the other thing I just want to state. There is like a long, deep-rooted like historical context for being a transsexual, right? Like it's something that, regardless of how you feel about it, has existed throughout history. And even trans surgeries have existed since the beginning of surgeries, right? The word non-binary, someone showed me a Google Trends screenshot, and that term in relation to gender and sex was not even a term that was ever really used before 2014 to 2015. So for me, another reason why they're not the same. But that's just my assessment. Thank you, Northern Lights, who says, I loved the Vice debate you were a part of. We definitely need to have more discussion with people across the political spectrum on these issues. I agree, and thank you. I'm glad I did the Vice thing. I think it was a really cool thing, and I was happy with it. Thank you, Pony, who says, love your videos, keep strong. Thank you, Allie, who says, hey, I'm a 17-year-old trans girl who transitioned at 12, but I don't think non-binary people are valid. There's two genders based on brain scans. Love you. That's an interesting take. Thank you, Jen No, who says most non-binary people are young women because of gender ideals. Women are seen as not, quote, good wife type, as opposed to being called gay for biological males. That is interesting. It would be amiss to say that the majority of this is biological females. I don't think that can go unstated. Thank you, Vanilli, who says, I feel like most non-binary people confuse dysphoria with dysmorphia. That's interesting. It is two different things. It's kind of my pet peeve when people say that trans people have body dysmorphia, because they are two different diagnoses. Thank you, Miles, who says, hey, Blaire, how rare is trans in the population? I don't know. We are not included in the census. There's no accurate statistic out there, but it's not a lot of people. Yeah. Thank you, Akulo Music, who says, you say hi to Joey for me. Joey, Akulo Music says hi. Thank you, Jay, who says, hi, Blaire, do you think non-binary people think sex and gender are the same thing? I don't know. We'd have to ask them. And I would assume it's an individual thing. So, yeah. Thank you, Riley, who says, Ryan made a broad reference to the studies that were suggested being binary trans has a biological cause. He then used those same studies to validate non-binary feelings. Do you agree or disagree? I do disagree. You know, if you look at the brains of transsexuals, you can see certain attributes that are similar to the biological sex that they want to identify as. And there's been other studies about hormonal influence in the womb, etc. I mean, I could see how hormonal influence would determine how masculine or feminine someone is. But to me, again, it's just different. Like masculinity and femininity and varying levels, like we all have that. I really wanted this to be like a proper, like, one-on-one debate. So fuck you, Radical Seb. Everyone feel free to comment on Radical Seb's Instagram. That's Radical SEB. And ask him why he wanted to flake. Why am I so scary to you, Radical Seb? I think I was pretty nice in this stream, but I'm sure we twisted that I was abusing all those people. So thank you, Brian, who says what I got from it was that non-binary is a way to not conform with either gender stereotype. I really just want to find out. Yeah. Like being trans isn't like being like, I reject this stereotype. Being trans is like, it's changing your entire life. And I don't know, you guys. I might just stop talking about it altogether, to be honest. Thanks, Leah, who says, it seems like the new emo and goth, etc. And I'm still to see a non-binary person who is not a leftist or hold views other than typical feminists. That's always been my argument too, is that it seems like something political, but maybe it's not, because those kids didn't seem particularly political. They just seemed kind of confused. And that's not to be mean, because it's normal to be confused when you're a kid, but I don't know. Savannah says, have Onision come debate you. That might make it more interesting, but I'm not going to do that. That's a whole different dumpster fire. Thank you to Trade, who says, I just got on the live stream. I'm a devil's advocate when it comes to politics, and when challenging others, I'm usually proven wrong too. If you're still up for a debate, check your email. I don't know if I'm really up for it. I'm kind of just over this whole stream, to be honest. I don't really want to bring anyone else on. Thank you, Poofy, who says, I've been trying to get my Blaire follow back on Instagram. Let me follow you back right now, Poofy. 4 a.m. Magic. Y'all. I'm going to Dave & Buster's tonight to hang out with some friends, and I cannot wait for that because this has been... I promise you guys that my next video, I have an actual main channel video that I am currently writing, is going to be a lot better than this. I promise. It's actually a great video, and I think you guys are going to love it. But this girl, this was on some other shit, I swear to God. Thank you, Count Dracula. I thought you said Count Dankula, who says Blaire looking mommy as fuck. Thank you. Thank you, Brad Grimba, who says, who the hell is Peppa Pig? So clearly y'all are trolling me. That's a kid's TV show, or is this a person? Because I haven't gotten any email. Was it, you were watching the stream, were they just saying a TV show, or was it a person? Peppa Pig.
Yeah, Peppa Pig's been emailing me for the last 5 minutes.
Are you fucking with me? I don't have any emails from Peppa Pig.
Refresh it.
I have been. The whole stream, I was refreshing. I don't see anything from Peppa Pig.
That's crazy.
I'll even type, screw you, Joey. Get away from me. I don't like you. It's both, or is it not? Half of y'all are saying Peppa is real and half of you are not. If Peppa is real, Peppa can email me. Okay. And if that's the case, I'll go on Peppa's channel because I'm not going to navigate how to figure out how to put Peppa on here because this is too, I don't know what's real and what's not. Thank you, Alyssa, who says, hi, Blaire. As much as I love your political videos, I also love your lifestyle videos. Any coming up soon? Yes, tomorrow I'm filming a video for my side channel and my main channel, and those will both be up within the week. Thank you, Tab, who says, people mistake personality traits for gender now. Agreed. Agreed. Y'all want to say she emailed me this Peppa Pig. I'm literally searching. Okay. Y'all really are upsetting me right now. Thanks, Gabe, who was in the stream, who says, I still think you're really cool and still love watching your content. I look up to you a lot. Thanks for having me on the stream. Thank you. And I do appreciate you coming on. And I appreciate that you're not taking it to heart or offended that I'm sort of coming to the conclusion I'm coming to. And I appreciate you. So thank you for coming on, Gabe. Okay. But do you guys understand my frustration? Like, so say this is sort of like an adolescent figuring it out type of thing, right? Say that's the truth. Maybe it's not, let's say it's truth. But then do you see why it's so frustrating why that dominates the trans conversation when like I'm an adult transsexual and I get screamed down by children and those children get the media attention and those children get to make, you know, advocate on my behalf. Do you understand that frustration too? Like, I don't think I'm wrong. I really don't. Okay. This is gonna be the last time I look and see if Peppa Pig is real. People are saying Peppa Pig just tweeted me. So if that's the case, I'm gonna look this second and it should come up on my feed. Y'all are some lying, scandalous bitches. I do appreciate the very intricate troll. I appreciate it. Thank you, Miles Swan. How do I not have you followed already, Miles? I see you in like all these streams and you're always so supportive. So let me follow you. Miles Swan. Oh, I'm not following you. Now I am. Radical Seb done fucked up. What do you think I should do, Joey?
Huh?
What do you think I should do?
Do with what?
What do you want to do with the rest of the day? Like
Well, you gotta start writing some lyrics.
Writing lyrics?
Yeah, Peppa Pig just dropped a diss track.
You know what, Joey? I'm about to throw this drink on you.
Are you not even drinking it?
No,
Like,
because I realized
no,
because I realized my stomach was upset all day, and I feel like if I drink this, it's gonna make it worse.
All right, I'll drink it. Give it to me.
Don't get too drunk already because we're going out tonight and you're gonna be like too gone by the time we go out.
No, not at all.
You okay?
Love you.
I already did my babysitting for the day. I'm not babysitting you tonight because you drank too much. Oh. Thank you, Haley Morris, who says, Blaire, will you please shout out Old Taters, my boyfriend? Shout out to Old Taters with the questionable name. Thank you, Marcus, who says, Blaire, remember that your stance on this whole non-binary thing is very popular among regular people. Us trans conservatives should be more vocal. Can you guys? Because one thing about it, I always see in the messages here, and it's no shade because you're very kind. I always see in the messages and the comments, whatever, I'm a trans conservative and I agree with you. And then when it comes down to it, I'm always the only one ever like going in. So y'all can go in with me sometimes, okay? Thank you, Atticus, who says, Blaire, we should talk again sometime. Love you. Were you an old patron, Atticus? Your name sounds familiar. Thank you, John Forge, who gave me their Twitter and says, I love you. Please follow me. I support you always. Thank you. I'll follow you right now. John Forge. I'm a little depressed about this stream, you guys. I had high hopes for it. And now I'm kind of just like, has life really dwindled down to this? You're not coming up, John Forge. Did you typo your screen name? Has life really dwindled down to this? Yeah, to anyone coming in now, I got dipped out on a debate and then a bunch of... Someone said, Seb is from my hometown and he'll really do anything for clout. Well, I guess he got it. Thank you for the new member, Kellen. All right, guys. This was interesting. Okay, this will not be available on my main channel as far as like on the grid of my channel front page. This will be unlisted because like I said, it is a mess. So if you want the link, if you want to come look at this later, you better save it now. Bookmark, okay? And I love you guys. And I have a new video coming out in probably like 2 days. It's a really, really, really good one. And I love you guys. Bye.